I hate to admit it, but yesterday I drove through a stop sign. I didn't mean to. I just wasn't paying attention. I wasn't paying attention to the things that were important. That sign was there, the symbol was there, that fire engine red octagon with STOP printed boldly in white letters that no one should miss. But I did. We all tend to miss a lot in life. No matter how good our intentions, we sometimes just forget that there are things that are important, things that we need to pay attention to. Thank God, or Goddess, for signs. Signs that remind us to stop, to use caution. Pop-up signs on our computer that ask us, are you sure you want to delete that file? Did you back up that document? Signs are symbols for something we need to think about. Signs are symbols for something we need to do. In our daily life, sometimes I think that signs and symbols can help recall us to our best selves again. The same is true in the world of religion. Religious signs and symbols can help recall us to our best selves again. They connect us to those things that are bigger than our small, individual, and vulnerable selves. Now, as Unitarian Universalists, we don't worship symbols. We don't bow down before our flaming chalice. We don't believe a god lives in the flame or the goddess lives in the chalice's open bowl. But we do believe that our flaming chalice or any other religious symbol can speak to us with a power beyond words. A religious symbol can help us name our own truth and then challenge us to connect that truth to an ancient truth that has existed long before we were alive and will exist long, long, long after we have passed from this world. The great mythologist Joseph Campbell once said, "Truth cannot be described. Truth cannot be defined. Truth can only be experienced." Symbols help create an opportunity for us to have an experience. As Campbell says, images and pictures invite the eye not to rush along, but to rest a while and dwell with them in the enjoyment of their revelation. There are now 13 images, 13 pictures, 13 symbols that encircle the arch above our chancel. One of these symbols, the cross, has hung at the front of the chancel since the 1950s. 6 others, the sun sign, the circle, the lamp of knowledge, the flaming chalice, the Star of David, and behind me, the yin-yang sign, they were added in November of 1980. They were created when the Children's Religious Education Committee suggested that the cross did not fully represent the breadth of religious ideas that inspire Unitarian Universalists. Also hanging at that time was the chalice with the 2 circles that now sits above the choir atrium that most of you can see. And today, after 29 years, we're adding 6 new symbols. We're adding them to reflect the ongoing evolution of our faith and the ongoing religious landscape of the world in which we now find ourselves. The new symbols, the crescent moon and star, the dove, the Tori, the Bhava Chakra, the Sanskrit letters for Om, and Gaia, were all designed by church member Judy Barilak and created by Mike Modica in his workshop. So let's explore. What could these symbols, these signs, mean to us today? And what could they teach us this morning? We'll begin with 6 of the originals. The sun sign, with its 4 rays pointing in the 4 directions, is a symbol of Native Americans. We display this symbol to remind us of our connection to the first peoples of this continent. It affirms the Native American teachings of our oneness with the order of all things. This native symbol also reminds us of the genocide that our forebears and our government rained down upon indigenous people of this land. Before this symbol, we must confess that our feet, all our feet, walk upon stolen ground. It reminds us that today, in this country and throughout the world, Native peoples are still considered expendable, and it challenges us to act against this untruth. The sun itself, in the center, is the symbol of light, heat, and life. And throughout religious history, its rays have represented the gift of spiritual guidance and wisdom. The sun is the center of our galaxy, and it reminds us that our lives are ordered within a larger system of which we are just one small part. The vastness of the sun calls us to humility before the great spirit of life. The yin-yang symbol behind me comes from the Taoist religious tradition, which originated in China. The yin-yang suggests the interdependence of opposing forces in nature and in society: male, female, height, depth, strong, weak, light, dark. Yin, the light portion, is the active force of things, and yang, the dark, is the force of stillness. But both are needed for balance and wholeness. Notice how one bleeds into the other, how one begins and then forms the other. The yin-yang reminds us of the underlying and hidden unity of all creation. Out of one comes two, says the Tao Te Ching. This symbol reminds us that we as individuals and as communities are caught in the pool of opposing needs and demands. It calls us to find balance in our lives. The cross is now the universally accepted symbol of Christianity. To us, it represents the historic connection of Unitarian Universalism to the human being named Jesus of Nazareth. It recalls his prophetic actions of love, his acts of social justice, and the radical inclusiveness for all people that he practiced at his open meals. But the cross existed as a spiritual symbol long before the Christian tradition adopted it. Some 1,500 years before Jesus walked the earth, the cross was used in Egypt, China, and Crete to symbolize the joining of the heavenly powers with the human world. The one beam represents the heavenly powers coming to earth, and the cross piece represents the earthly powers, the earthly existence. It also represents communication between the spirit world and the physical world. It evokes the ancient tree of life that we find in so many world traditions, and the spiritual ladder by which human beings ascend into the heavenly realms. The cross also represents the universe itself, divided into 4 directions: north, south, east, and west. And of those 4 directions, they represent the 4 basic primal elements of creation, which are earth, fire, air, and water. Today, the cross reminds us that there's more depth, more dimensions to life and spirituality than meet the eye. It reminds us that time and space and life itself is a great mystery of birth, death, and, dare I say, resurrection.